What if love finds you when you're afraid to believe in it again? After betrayal and divorce, Mia lives only for her daughter, Olivia. No expectations, no plans for love, until one day, in a hospital hallway, they meet a doctor with kind eyes, Lucas. He doesn't rush. He doesn't promise a perfect life. He simply stays. Drawings with big hearts, ice cream on hard days, small steps of trust. And one day, a little girl says the words that change everything. He's almost family. This isn't a story about perfect love. It's a story about quiet, real love, the kind that heals hearts and builds a family.
Love Stories Max. Welcome to my channel. Enjoy watching, friends.
Almost family, a story that heals hearts. I never thought my love story would begin in a place that smells like antiseptic, where footsteps echo through long hallways, and people are quiet more often than they smile. That morning, I held Olivia's small hand in mine. She tried to walk quickly, like a grown-up, but every now and then she hopped along the tiles as if it were a game. "Mom, is Grandma already missing us?" she asked seriously. "I think so, sweetheart. And we came to make her day better, right? And we brought her a drawing," Olivia said proudly, holding a wrinkled sheet of paper against her chest. My mom, Amanda, had been in treatment for 2 weeks already. I tried to stay strong, but hospitals always made me uneasy. Too many thoughts, too many unknowns. When we walked into the room, Mom smiled. That warm smile that had comforted me since childhood. Olivia ran straight to her, showing the drawing. 3 figures with big heads and one more with a huge heart. "Who is this?" Mom asked. "That's us. And this is the doctor who will make you better," Olivia explained. At that exact moment, the door opened quietly. "Good afternoon. How are we feeling today?" a calm male voice said. I looked up, and saw Lucas for the first time. He didn't look like the doctors from TV shows. No rush, no coldness, calm eyes, a slightly tired but kind smile. He spoke to my mom as if he had all the time in the world just for her. Then he noticed Olivia. "And who do we have here? An artist?" Olivia hid behind my leg at first, but then carefully handed him the drawing. Lucas crouched down to her level. "This is the best portrait I've ever received." But, he made a serious face. "Why do I have such a big heart?" "Because you're taking care of Grandma," she said simply. For a moment, he looked a little surprised. Then he smiled so sincerely that something warm spread through my chest. After that, each visit became a little special. Olivia waited for him. She drew new pictures. One day she brought him a dinosaur sticker and said, "So you'll be strong." And Lucas put it right on his badge. He always found a minute for her. Asked about preschool. Listened to her long stories about her doll Sophie, who sometimes behaves like Dad, meaning stubborn. "That sounds like a complicated clinical case," he would nod seriously. I caught myself looking forward to his visits just as much as my daughter did. Sometimes we talked, at first about Mom, then about the weather, then about life. I learned he liked his coffee without sugar and read books slowly. I admitted that I add too much cinnamon to everything, even where it doesn't belong. "That explains why you have such a warm personality," he said once. That was the first time I blushed like a teenager. One evening, Mom gave me a knowing look. "He's a good doctor. And he doesn't look at you like you're just a patient's daughter." "Mom," I whispered, but she was right. When her condition started improving, I felt happy, and a little sad. It meant our daily meetings would soon end. On the day of her discharge, Lucas came to say goodbye. Olivia hugged him first. Are you going to treat other grandmas now? Yes, but I'm going to miss one little artist. She thought for a moment and slipped her last drawing into his hand. There were 4 people in it. That's us. Now you're part of our family too. Well, almost. I froze. Lucas stood up. Our eyes met. Mia, he smiled a little nervously. I know this might sound unprofessional, but when Amanda is home and no longer under my care, maybe you'd agree to have coffee with me? No medical charts. No blood pressure. My heart made a small leap. Only if you let me add cinnamon, I replied. He laughed, and Olivia said seriously, I'm coming too. I need to check if you're really nice. From that day on, the hospital stopped being a place of fear for me. Because that's where our story began. And honestly, I still keep that first drawing with the big heart. I don't remember the last time I felt nervous before meeting someone. 2 years ago, my life split into before and after. After Jason's betrayal, I learned how to live again, quieter, more careful, without expecting too much. I didn't stop believing in love, but I stopped trusting it too quickly. Olivia rarely saw her father. He had a new life, a new woman, new plans. So I became her whole world, her mom, her safe place, her little universe where she was always loved and protected. Maybe that's why I was so afraid to open the door to someone new. Our first date was simple. Lucas suggested a small cafe near the park, quiet, warm, with soft yellow light glowing through the windows. I arrived early, ordered tea, tried not to think about how my heart was beating faster than it should for a simple meeting. When he walked in, I immediately felt that same calm warmth I had first noticed at the hospital. I was afraid you might change your mind, he admitted as he sat down across from me. I was too, I smiled. We talked for a long time. About work, about books, about little things that suddenly felt important. Then there was a pause. The kind where something real begins. Mia, I want to be honest, Lucas said softly. I'm not in a hurry. And I don't want to complicate anything. Especially for you and for Olivia. His words touched me more than any compliment could. I took a deep breath. I'm not in a hurry either. After the divorce, I learned to be careful. Jason cheated on me, and when everything ended, I realized there's only one person in my life I can't afford to make a mistake for. Olivia. Lucas nodded. No pity. No unnecessary questions. Then let's just get to know each other. Step by step, we went for a walk in the park. It was chilly, and at one point he asked gently, "May I?" And only after I nodded did he carefully take my hand. His hand was warm, steady, unhurried, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel nervous. I felt safe. When we said goodbye, he didn't try to hug or kiss me. "I'll call you, if that's okay." "I'll be waiting," I replied. On my way home, I realized this didn't feel like the beginning of a whirlwind romance. It felt like something better. It felt like trust, just beginning to grow. I postponed this moment for a long time. Not because I didn't trust Lucas, but because Olivia is my heart. And if someone was going to become part of our lives, it had to happen slowly. Very carefully. "Mom, that doctor, does he still exist?" she asked one evening while drawing at the table. I almost laughed. "Yes, sweetheart, he does. He's nice. Because he listens to me," she said seriously. When will I see him again? That's when I realized the time had come. We agreed to meet at the park. Somewhere simple, no pressure, just a walk. Lucas arrived early, and he didn't come empty-handed. He was holding a small paper bag. Olivia stayed close to me at first, but when she saw him, she stopped and looked carefully. "Hi, artist," he said, crouching down to her level. "I brought you something, but only if you promise to use it for serious art." He pulled out a set of colored pencils. Olivia's eyes widened. "Are they real?" "Absolutely. I even resisted using them for my medical notes." She giggled softly and took a small step toward him. "Thank you, Lucas." I noticed he didn't rush anything. He didn't try to hug her or take her hand. He simply walked beside us. A few minutes later, Olivia started talking on her own. "I have a doll named Sophie. She doesn't listen sometimes. Can you treat her?" "Of course," he said seriously. "But that's a complicated case. It may require hugs and ice cream." "I think so too," she nodded. We sat on a bench. Olivia was drawing with her new pencils while Lucas and I talked quietly. Then she handed him the picture. There were 3 people, me, her, and Lucas. "That's us walking," she explained. "But, you're not a dad yet. You're just Lucas." I froze. But he smiled, gently, carefully. "That's the best role to start with," he said. That evening, on our way home, Olivia held my hand tightly. "Mom?" "Yes?" "Lucas is nice." Warmth filled my chest. "I know, sweetheart. Can he come visit us sometimes?" "Not too often. So he doesn't get tired." I laughed through unexpected tears. And for the first time in a long time, I thought, maybe our small hearts were beginning to beat together as 3. There are days when you hold it together. And there are days when you simply don't have the strength. That morning started with a phone call. Jason couldn't take Olivia for the weekend. Again. Work. Plans. Another time. Words I had heard too many times before. I thanked him. Calmly. Politely. Like always. But when I hung up, Olivia was standing in the doorway. "Is Dad coming?" I paused. That small pause that hurts the most. "Not this time, sweetheart." She nodded. No tears. She was used to it. And that broke my heart even more. That day, everything felt heavy. Stress at work. Silence at home that felt too loud. And in the evening, Olivia sat quietly with her doll, barely talking. I sent Lucas a short message, "Hard day. Just wanted to say hi." He replied almost immediately, "I'm nearby. Can I come over?" I wanted to type no. Instead, I wrote, "Yes." 20 minutes later, he was at the door. With a bag of ice cream. And another small box for treating complicated cases. Olivia opened the door. "Oh, the doctor is here," she said seriously. Lucas crouched down to her level. "I heard someone here has a sad mood. That's a very serious diagnosis." "I'm not sad," she said quietly. "Just a little quiet." He nodded. "Then we'll treat a quiet mood. With ice cream and a cartoon." They sat together on the couch. 10 minutes later, Olivia was laughing. 20 minutes later, she was telling him stories about school. 30 minutes later, she fell asleep, leaning against his shoulder. I stood in the doorway and watched. He didn't move. He didn't want to wake her. He just whispered softly, "She's a very strong girl." I sat beside him. And for the first time all day, I allowed myself to breathe. "Thank you for coming. You don't have to carry everything alone, Mia." Later, when I gently tucked Olivia into bed, she whispered sleepily, "Mom?" "Yes, sweetheart." Lucas is nice. Yes. She was quiet for a few seconds. He's almost family. I froze. Can he stay with us for a long time? My heart filled with warmth. I think he'd like that too. When I returned to the living room, Lucas was standing by the window. I walked up to him. And for the first time, I hugged him first. Quietly. No words. And in that embrace was everything. The exhaustion, the trust, the gratitude, and something that felt very much like the beginning of a real family. Sometimes happiness comes quietly, without grand promises, without dramatic moments. It simply settles into your life, in routines, in conversations, in warm evenings together. That's how it was with Lucas. He never tried to replace Jason. Never tried to be someone else. He simply stayed. He helped get Olivia ready for school when I was running late. He fixed Sophie the doll after a complicated surgery. He even learned to eat cinnamon pancakes, though his face looked very suspicious at first. One evening at dinner, Olivia said, "We're a real team now." Lucas just smiled, and I felt something calm and warm fill my heart. Almost 2 years had passed since our first coffee. That autumn morning, Lucas suggested going to the park, the same one where he had first met Olivia. "Just a walk," he said. I didn't suspect anything. The leaves were golden, the air cool and clear. Olivia ran ahead, collecting the most beautiful leaves for her fall collection. Then she suddenly turned around. "Mom, you need to come here." I walked over. Lucas was standing near a bench, a little nervous, and in his hands was a small box. The world seemed to go quiet. "Mia," he stepped closer. "I won't promise you a perfect life. But I promise to be there. On good days, on hard days, on ordinary days." His voice trembled slightly. "I love you. And I love your little team. Will you let me be part of it forever?" He opened the box. "Will you marry me?" I was already crying. "Yes, yes, of course, yes." And then Olivia started clapping loudly. "I knew it," she shouted. "Now you're officially ours." The wedding was just like our story, warm, sincere, and deeply personal. A small garden. Fresh flowers, light fabrics moving gently in the wind. Only the closest people around us. I wore a simple, soft dress. Lucas looked at me like I was something miraculous. But the most important moment came when Olivia walked up to us. She was holding a small box. "I have a promise too," she said seriously. "Lucas, will you be mine forever?" He knelt in front of her, his eyes shining. "Always." She hugged him as tightly as she could. During the ceremony, the three of us held hands. Not as people who happened to meet, but as a family who chose each other. That evening, after the guests had left, we sat on the porch of our new home. Olivia had fallen asleep with her head on Lucas's shoulder. I looked at them. "You know," I said softly, "I was once afraid to start over." He kissed my temple. "This isn't starting over, Mia. This is a continuation. Just a happy one." And in that moment, I understood. Sometimes the best stories begin after you thought everything was already over.